everybody who's looking at this from a scientific or basic third-grade math understanding knows that the official death count in the United States is astronomical and also probably too low. Unless you're President Donald Trump, if you're President Donald Trump, apparently you think the coronavirus death toll in the United States is too high. It's fake news, and really the numbers are much smaller. Axios is reporting now that President Trump has, quote, complained to advisors about the way coronavirus deaths are being calculated, suggesting that the real numbers are actually lower. A number of his senior aides share this view, according to sources with direct knowledge. A senior administration official says he expects the president to begin publicly questioning the death toll as it closes in on his predictions for the final death count and damages him politically. Apparently, the White House thinks that hospitals are running some sort of grift where they're over-reporting coronavirus cases. They're making up fake coronavirus patients in order to cash in on sweet, sweet Medicare money for treating coronavirus patients. Apparently, we're supposed to prepare for the president to start blaming American hospitals for inventing this epidemic, that this many people aren't really dying, right? If it wasn't for those greedy hospitals, we'd see the real, much lower death counts. While that's happening at the political level, the virus is hitting close to home for the president, literally. From NBC News today, quote, one of President Donald Trump's personal valets who works in the White House, works in the West Wing, serving the president his meals, among other duties, has tested positive for the coronavirus, the closest the virus is known to have come to the president, according to a White House official. Staffers who come into close contact with the president have said they're tested regularly for coronavirus, but few aides have been seen wearing masks around the West Wing. Quote, after learning one of his valets was infected, Trump became lava-level mad at his staff and said he doesn't feel they're doing all they can to protect him from the virus. Yeah, it turns out it is really hard to work to contain this virus. I mean, whatever the president and the White House or Republican governors might wish or want to be true about this epidemic, the virus is the virus and the science is the science. I mean, you can deny that it's as bad as everybody says, and you can deny that it's really a risk and it's safe to open everything back up. But, you know, then somebody in the White House who's probably been close to the president to touch him a lot, you know, because he's his valet, then that guy turns out to have it. Scary, right? Scary to not be in that much of a bubble as you thought you were. And, you know, the guidelines on how to reopen the economy, turns out that's a hard thing. You can't just wave a magic wand and say, it's over, we want it to be over, and so therefore we shall reopen and the economy will come right back to where it should be. The reason the economy is shut down is not because of some sort of, you know, blue state plot. It's because there's a virus that's killed 75,000 Americans and infected more than 1 million of us and isn't slowing down at all. And the only way we can slow it down, because we don't have a treatment and we don't have a vaccine, is to keep Americans apart from each other. And that must be very frustrating, but that's the science here.